Well, good evening, folks, or good evening, Townsville, I should say. My name's Mark Dwyer, real estate sales trainer, and welcome to yet another rousing edition of Ask Mark Anything. The subject matter that we're going to talk about here this evening, albeit on a Saturday evening, and probably not the time to be talking about this sort of thing, but it's something that's really piqued my interest because I have, over the last week and a half, visited a number of sales teams and offices, and the question just keeps beckoning, where salespeople are talking to me about prospecting, and the context that they tend to talk about, sadly, is one where they are engaging in what I would refer to as medium and long-term prospecting regimes. Now, I've been saying for some time now, and I hope that this resonates with you, that salespeople are just not geared, salespeople in particular, are not geared toward medium and long-term prospecting methods. I ask you to just share this with me. Imagine what I'm talking through here. Somebody called you up at the office, tells you that they are listing today. I'm sure you get a bundle of energy if they say that we're going to be signing with an agent this afternoon. Can you come down and see us? You probably almost take the door off the hinges on the way down. You get down, you look at the property, you're sat now at the kitchen bench or the dining table, and you're running your presentation, and the prospect is extremely agreeable. You're running through all the things that you're likely to do with marketing, lots of nods as you go. You get to the point of listing the property, the prospect looks at you and says, look, I did say that we were listing the property today, but unfortunately, what we're now looking at doing is delaying it by about 6 to 12 weeks. Now, internally, at the very least, I'm sure your shoulders drop. This is the bane of a salesperson. So I say that our energy drops the moment we don't get instant gratification. Now, this has to transcend prospecting methods and certainly has to find its way into the listing presentations themselves, or indeed that dreaded thing, or the thing that I've outlawed pretty much in my professional life, and that is the market appraisal. Now, I'm not here to say what prospecting methods work and what do not. Suffice to say that all prospecting methods work, and indeed, so too does the ideal of building a long-term relationship through the market appraisal to then eventually arriving at a listing. And I'm not saying discount that idea altogether, but what I am saying to you is that if you make that your focus, you are literally prohibiting the chances you may have of getting into high-level production. You see, again, salespeople aren't geared. Why not focus our energy toward short-term prospecting regimes? Why not focus our energy toward active property sellers who are selling now? Why not refocus our perspective on being only interested in running listing presentations to active property sellers, which increases the chances of us getting listings on board? So, what am I talking about? Well, I say, which of the two is it? Are you geared towards market appraisals, looking at leads, looking at populating what people are calling databases, which ostensibly to me are just contact lists, or are you focused on listing presentations? And let's face it, inside the listing game itself, the salesperson that lists anywhere from 6 to as many as 10 properties on a monthly basis is gaining momentum, and it's the listings that indeed bring the listings in turn. So why not put your energy on that listing presentation wagon? So again, what I say is be careful, because running the MAs, tongue-in-cheek, I believe that leads to you becoming a mediocre agent. Now, as I say tongue-in-cheek again, there's nothing wrong with being mediocre because you're pretty much at your best every single day. I'm not looking to invite the validity of the method. I'm looking to get us to double-figure productivity fairly quickly. So here's the next question that I have for you. If you could find 10 active property sellers per month and were able to list the majority of those, would you ever worry about the maybe mights which constitute those market appraisals? I just believe it's a reconfiguration of the way that you attack the act of selling properties. You see, at the end of the day, this is the other way that we look at it when we get into the prospecting game. And I've said this for a long, long time. Most of the prospecting methods we use, sadly, awaken the market appraisals. In fact, on the call and response, we're very, very, very reluctant to attack the situation head on. So we say to people, if you're considering, if you're thinking of selling, if you want an updated opinion of value, and then we take the obligation away even further by saying there is no obligation, just have a look at what we might think on price, or reconfirm your thoughts, or let me show you, don't be in the dark around price, come and have a talk to me. Now, I don't understand why real estate agents are resolved to become valuers. You see, when I'm talking to a prospective seller, I say to them that it's not my job to calculate the worth of a property. It's my job to create value, and I create value first and foremost as a marketer. This is the only variable that I can control, or one of the only variables, I should say. I control the negotiation process and the valuation parameters that buyers perceive of your property, and then through great communicative skills, I leverage that value. I don't sit there and say that my calculation of value is going to be a limitation on where your property might sit inside the marketplace. And in my opinion, that shouldn't be governing whether or not you get that listing on board. Now, in prospecting in particular, I say this very, very simply. In all methods of prospecting, say what you mean and mean what you say. You see, if you prospect to the market at large and say to it, we are looking for people that are selling. In dialogue, if I'm knocking on a door after having sold something, I would simply say, we've just sold this nearby property and we have a number of people that absolutely love the area, but for various reasons they missed out on this particular property. So I've been sent to check, are you selling? Not are you considering getting an updated opinion of value with maybe considering making a move at a later date. Now, I know that, again, I'll just kind of keep reiterating this as we go, that there's going to be many, many sellers that will come your way after a sustained period of time. But I also believe that if you're top of the mind, you see, to somebody who is selling a property and is researching the market, they become acutely aware of every sign that's available and they see that activity around it. And this offers us an opportunity to secure them. Again, I say to most real estate salespeople, and let's face it, this is a reality. There are more than enough properties listed within the area that you're servicing each month to substantiate, if you're able to secure sufficient for yourself, let's call it 10 properties a month, that would enable you to never have to worry about any form of medium or long-term prospecting. And those medium and long-term prospects, if you position yourself as a player in that market, one of the three players that have a 60 to 90% market share, is it not fair for me to then run the assumption that when those dormants who were getting those MAs from your competitors or otherwise will certainly call you on board as a consideration, and if you present favourably as a professional, certainly if you've got the lion's share in the business, you're going to then secure the 10 listings that you need. So again, I say this over and over and over again, you do not need a whole lot of contacts. You certainly don't necessarily need to speak to 20, 30, 40, 50 people a day. You need to secure sufficient a number of appointments, listing presentation appointments each month, so that you actually secure those listing presentations. You secure those listings, and those listings, if you leverage off them, can lead to more active property sellers. So this has always been my philosophy around it, and it's one that I just felt like I had to share with you, and also make it very, very clear to you that in in changing your methodology, changing the way that you think, you can start to talk in an assumptive language. You see, I say to someone, are you selling? They say, well, we might be thinking about it. I say, well, look, the buyers I've got aren't thinking about buying now. They are buying now. So once again, I ask, are you selling now? Now, the active property seller will not be able to resist that kind of language. And they certainly won't be able to resist the salesperson that is out there doing it and is purely focused on selling properties. So again, I just ask you, how do you get to this point? It's pretty simple. You know, you've got to trust it. So here's what I say to salespeople: what you focus on grows. Now, those of you that are purely focused on market appraisals, I am almost prepared to bet you that that's what you're getting. Those of you that are focused on populating data inside a database or a contact list, again, I'm prepared to bet you that's what you're getting. But those of us that are focused on finding the now sellers, and those of us that are focused on getting listing presentations, well, that's exactly what you'll get. And to my mind, that's always the better option moving forward as a real estate salesperson. So the thing that I implore you to do, the thing that I implore you to take on board from this very, very short and succinct recording is this: make the decision. Say to yourself, I am not a valuer, I'm a marketer. Marketers create value. Valuers are preoccupied with calculating worth. And I'd like to suggest to you that that is the very essence. By being preoccupied with price and value and calculating it, comparatively speaking, that is the very root of the problem with the industry today, and why so many sellers not only lack confidence in real estate agents, but are seriously questioning the validity of their fee. So I'm Mark Dwyer. I hope that you enjoyed that. It was probably one of the most serious recordings I've had, sitting here in the Qantas boardroom in Townsville, just waiting to catch an aeroplane. And I know it's Saturday night. I'll be sure to answer any of the questions that you have here, and I hope that early next week you join me again for yet another rousing edition of Ask Mark Anything. Thanks for joining.